Hello guys, welcome back to ESENtaxa. Andrea Papito here. In this video, I'm going to talk about the impatriate regime for the high net worth individuals. In this channel, ESENtaxa, we talk about how to optimize taxes in Italy, how to planify a long tax strategy. What does it mean, long tax strategy? So how to planify a long-term tax strategy in a span of 5-10 years. We are the #1 channel that in English language explain you everything about the Italian tax system, Italian details in the tax system, and all the way to optimize the taxes and in certain cases also squeeze down to zero. Now, in this specific video, I wanted to explain how the impatriate regime, which is one of the most famous tax regime introduced in the latest years, in which we have extensively talked about in this channel. I will also put in the description below some reference on this impatriate regime, how it works in details. But I wanted to tell you how the impatriate regime works very well with high net worth individuals. And high net worth individuals, maybe is one of you guys watching this video, you might be in this category. So are those persons who may earn, let's say, above 1 million euro in profit or in revenue. So why the impatriate regime works so well with this kind of people? I'm going to explain you now through numbers how this is very advantageous and how this regime sometimes is even better from the other tax regime that exists already in Italy, which is addressed for high net worth individuals, which is the famous 100,000 fixed flat tax that you can pay with your foreign income. So you exclude from taxation of foreign income, you pay the substitutive taxation of 100,000 euro. But the impatriate regime is not meant for rich people, it's just meant for people. Originally it was meant to be a tax incentive for Italians who went abroad for looking for a better job opportunity and then wishing to come back to Italy after a couple of years. But then has been extended to everyone. And now we see through numbers how this is very convenient for very rich people. So the calculation is very simple. Imagine you are a self-employed in Italy. You want to run a business. In Italy, you don't need to open an SRL. First step, you have to be self-employed or a freelancer in order to apply the impatriate regime. You still issue invoices, you put VAT if you work among Italian clients, but your revenue basically it flows in your private income, in RPF taxation, okay? So you're an individual that runs a business. And in Italy, keep in mind, you can also have multiple businesses at the same time. So it's not always the good things to open a company. Yeah? Imagine that you are moving to Italy and you are brought with you your business. You're a consultant. You work on general, you provide services online. This is a classical example. So imagine your profit after cost, after coherent cost, that in Italy can be, of course, deduct, you have a profit of 1 million euro. Now, with the impatriate regime, if you relocate in the south of Italy, you have this deduction of 90% of your income. What does it mean? It means that only 100,000 euro will be subject to Italian taxation and will be subject to RPF taxation, so the taxation for individuals, okay? Now, 100,000 euro inside the RPF tax bracket system, it's like 37%. Now, this is an estimation because you can basically add at the top of the RPF also the regional tax and the communal tax or municipal tax, a regional tax. So might be something that, so imagine that the RPF is like 35 here. Here you can have 1% of municipality tax and 2% of more or less of regional tax or 1.5. So this is a small percentage that could change and vary by region, okay? Or by municipality, between municipalities. So it might change a little bit. So RPF plus these two small taxes, we can estimate 37% as tax pressure. Okay, now 37% means 37,000 euro in taxes to pay. Then at the top of the taxes, since you are self-employed, you have to pay the social security, that in Italy called INPS. And this is very famous in Italy because it's quite high. And in the impatriate regime, in general cases, the INPS is calculated on your global income, okay, on 1 million. But be careful because by law, the INPS has a cap. So you cannot pay more INPS, which is 26% in the gross case. So the INPS is 26% of your general income. But 26% is capped to this 113,000 euro per year. So in the worst case, you end up paying basically something like 29, let me write it here, 29,550 euro per year. So this is the social security, which is mandatory to pay, and this is the tax to pay, okay? Now, the total of these two things would be something like 66,500, which makes an overall tax pressure over 1 million of 6.65%, okay? So, impatriate regime applied to somebody that has a profit of 1 million, let's imagine 1 million as a profit, so after you deduct your coherent cost of your business, you have to pay only taxes on 100,000 euro because you relocate in the south of Italy. And in the south of Italy, you have this 90% deduction. You have this fixed taxation of 37,000 because you pass this amount of money into the RPF plus regional tax and municipal tax. And then the fixed IMPS 113,000, which basically is 29,000 more or less. This is the total, which makes a 6.65% total tax pressure. Now, what happens if you earn more? What happens if this amount of money is not going to be 1 million, but 5 million euro, okay? So the IMPS actually remains exactly the same because, as we said before, it's a capped. We have a limit above which you cannot go. You cannot pay more than it, or more than 26% of IMPS on that limit, which is 13,520 euro per year, okay, as income. So what about 5 million euro? Let's say 5 million. Still, 90% of it is tax-free. So 4 million and a half is tax-free. So I'm going to pay taxes only on 500,000 euro. €500,000 will be taxed under RPF taxation, plus regional tax and municipal tax. Both elements, all the three elements here, we might have a tax pressure of 42%. So with the tax brackets in Italy, you pass the highest tax bracket, so you reach almost 43%. So it's 42% effectively on €500,000 of income, but which makes basically 270,900 euro. But the IMPS still remains the same. You see? IMPS is always capped to this number, and you have to add, as we said before, the same value, 29,515. The total is like 237,450, and that makes a fiscal pressure over 5 million euro of only 4.7%. You see, as much as you earn, as long as you keep earning more and more, since this IMPS is capped to 113,000, even if this is a worst case scenario IMPS, because IMPS could be also something between 24 and 26% based on the code activity, so this can range a little bit. But let's imagine the worst case, it's 26%, it's always capped to this limit. So if you earn 5 million euro, basically you always pay 29,000 in Social Security in Italy, it's the maximum possible, and 277,000 is actually what you pay in taxes, but on 5 million euro, it's only 4.7% tax pressure, okay? And that's the reason why the impatriate regime becomes a very interesting solution for those who earn a lot of money. The question now is why we should go for the impatriate regime, and why high net worth individual that wants to relocate to Italy should instead choose the other tax regime, the famous 100K flat tax for new residents. Why we have to make sure to pick up the correct regime for your specific situation. I will explain you why. So we have seen that the impatriate regime, the forfeit regime, it's another thing. It's still another tax benefit. So as a recap, with 5 million euro, we can have a tax pressure, tax plus Social Security, plus tax pressure of only 4.7%, and with 1 million euro, we have seen that we can have 6.65% of taxes plus Social Security, okay? Which is the IMPS. But the other tax regime with 100K flat tax, why for these cases is convenient? Or when is more convenient than the impatriate regime? Here it's a matter of choice, here is a matter of tax strategy. And here comes ESENtaxa to help you guys. If you're in this situation, if it happens to be a high net worth individual and you wish to move to Italy, this is a very important decision to take to make, because you can actually really spare a huge amount of taxes here. In the description below the video, you will have our email contact, info@esentaxa.com, if you want to have a clarification on this subject. Moreover, you will also find the link for our 15 minutes free call in which we can drive you through our services. We can tell you exactly, based on your situation, which is your specific service that you need from us in order to resolve your problems, your tax problems. So this 100K flat tax actually gives you a fiscal pressure of only 10% if your revenue is 1 million. But if your revenue is bigger, like 10 million, then this flat tax goes down to 1%, drops a lot, you see? Because here it's a fixed tax to pay, it's not a percentage. So what is the discrimination? How should I choose between this tax regime and this tax regime as a high net worth individual? Well, everything it's about if the majority of my income is like a professional income, because I'm actively working as a self-employed, and then the impatriate regime for you makes more sense, especially if your income is above 1 million, so because you start paying 6%, and as much as you do, as much you increase your profit, this percentage goes down. Or if the majority of your income, of your royalties, of your dividends, of any kind of miscellaneous income is coming from abroad, then you have to use this tax regime, because this will exclude from Italian taxes all your foreign income, okay? So here is, in both cases, you become Italian tax resident. In both cases, you will be liable on worldwide taxes. But in these cases, the foreign income will be taxed at the ordinary Italian RPF, while in this case, the domestic revenue will be taxed at the ordinary tax rate, while the foreign revenue will be taxed at only 100K fixed. So basically, you don't have to even monitor your assets abroad. You don't have to declare anything, and you are also exempt of paying the famous wealth tax in Italy. So here it's a matter of to find the balance between how much foreign income I have and how much domestic income. Domestic income means how much incomes I produce inside the Italian territory as a worker. And this happens when I'm a self-employed or when I'm an employee or when I put my property under rent, because those are located in the Italian territory, and those are taxed in the Italian territory. So either you choose the impatriate regime if the majority of your income is coming from Italy, or you choose the 100K flat tax for a new resident if your income is coming from abroad. And other things to take into account, how long I can keep this tax regime. This stays for 5 years plus a possible extension of other 5 years, okay? But here there are some constraints to take into account in order to keep the same 90% deduction, otherwise it drops to 50%, while this tax regime stays for 10 years straight, you see? So this is also another element to take into account. And the other important element, and the question, 1 million question, is I can do both. I mean, I can use this regime from my foreign income, pay only this 100K, and on my domestic income apply the impatriate regime. Well, of course, the answer is no. It's not possible. The Italian government preview this kind of situation. You cannot overlap, or you cannot access to two the main tax benefit, Italian tax benefit, at the same time. It's not possible. You can choose one of those two. After you haven't chosen one, you cannot switch next year to the other one, because both tax regimes requires you to be not Italian tax resident in the previous years. So this is also another choice that has to be made, and in the beginning. And that's the reason why you need to have a tax expert, a tax advisor that knows exactly how both regimes work and understand, based on your situation, which is your best scenario for you. I think this is a very important point. A lot of people the high net worth individual are focused on this tax regime because they think that in Italy can only exploit this one. But turns out that the impatriate regime is also very convenient for high net worth individuals, especially when their income is above 1 million. Again, I hope that was very interesting for you, was helpful, this video. And again, if you want to have a consultation with us about this subject, in the description below the video, you will have our contact emails, our link for the 15-minute free consultation call. And I will put in the description below the video information about the RPF taxation, how it works, the impatriate regime, how it works, and high net worth individual, how it works. Because, of course, this video, you should rewatch it after having watched every kind of tax regime. So go through our playlist in our ESENtaxa channel, learn about everything, and then comes back watching this video again, because you will learn even better what I'm talking about right now. Unless you are one of our followers, so that's good. You'll learn a lot with this video. Thank you, and see you the next time.